that is taking place not only in South Korea, but in multiple countries in East Asia. And this even led me to the so-called cute rap in China, which is essentially drill music, but with young Asian girls rapping it.
What
There's a
the
female
fuck is
rapper in
going
this
on?
genre that put an AI-generated King Von.
What the fuck? YouTube, it's your boy Gen Z Gangsters of South Korea. Hey man, it get real hectic out there. Let's see this. I saw this on my little For You page. The way to like, comment, subscribe. It be your boy Dino Saint. Alright, y'all, peace.
So here we have some Russians attacking some other Russians in a car, which is strange because this is in South Korea.
Now I do be wondering about the gang culture throughout the other countries, like how they be moving drugs and things of that nature, like the cartels in like Asia, the cartels and what, bro? Words are escaping my mind right now. I'm sorry, but the cartels in like Europe, the cartels in like Germany. I'm so curious about that, bro.
This is a gang
Like the world gangsters, bro. The gangsters throughout the world.
known for attacking people who try to sell drugs in their area. This is a kidnapping that was part of a murder for hire in Gangnam, the most expensive district in Seoul. And this is the second of two giant gang brawls in the same neighborhood in the South Korean city called Busan. And that was in 2024. In April 2025, police in Incheon, South Korea, arrested 97 people associated with 4 different gangs. And immediately I was thinking, what? 97? 4 different gangs in South Korea?
They get down, dang.
Not to mention the fact that South Korea has also been quietly going through its own sort of low-key drug war.
Wow.
As according to the Korean Coast Guard, a Canadian gang, ironically called the United Nations,
Okay. Nah, they're funny as hell. Yeah. No, there's Canadian gangsters called the United Nations, bro. They're funny for that. That is hilarious, bro.
has been drug trafficking to other gangs in South Korea. And
Wow.
the packages they send over to South Korea are so bold that they're even branded. And in the
Wow,
capital
they don't get no fuck.
of South Korea, Seoul, another gang is giving out loans with 30 to 1,500% interest. And if you
What?
don't pay it back, well, the late fee is that they'll sell your girlfriend.
What? They prostituting women? If you don't get their money back? That's crazy.
And I don't even want to know what happens if you don't have one. One lady in Seoul actually couldn't pay back the
God damn, great googly moogly. Didn't know they was thick out there. Hello.
loan she took out. So these guys popped up at her girlfriend's parents' house to get her location. And they totally would have sold her if they didn't get tipped off that the police were launching an investigation.
Bro. That's human trafficking. That kind of human trafficking. That's when it gets sick. When you start pimping out women, hitting them and things of that nature, bro. I mean, selling drugs and pushing them throughout your community is also bad. But listen, people are making the active decisions partly because of their addiction, right? And a lot of systemic reason of them doing drugs. But, bro, pimping out people is crazy, bro. That's insane.
Into them, so they went into hiding. But all of these are part of a new generation of organized crime in South Korea. And there are many, many different gangs, but the police refer to them as MZ gangs. MZ standing for Millennials and Gen Z, since both generations make up the majority of these gangs, with the Millennials being the guys in their late 20s and early 30s, most likely giving direction to the younger Gen Z guys, some of which probably...
So basically what happened here, bro, but like it get to a point where a lot of these older niggas, when they get caught in a RICO, they snitch, right? So the niggas on the bottom can go to jail and they can go for it. And niggas be living this gang life so hard they be feeling it, and it's like niggas don't even believe what they say.
Their younger siblings or cousins. And in addition to fighting, extortion, and stealing expensive items, such as when guys in one gang robbed another gang member for his $80,000 watch,
Damn.
They also run very extensive schemes like fake lottery websites, credit card fraud, and crypto scams. And apparently, this new generation really likes whiskey. I mean, this is a clip from the news when some limited edition whiskey sold out in 10 minutes. And they do get wild. I mean, one guy bust a bottle on his head, went to the hospital, then proceeded to threaten the medical staff, flash his gang tattoos, and break the front door.
What?
This is not exactly the South Korea that we're familiar with, at least here in the West. Because outside of Asia, all we ever hear about is the plastic surgery, K-pop scandals, and the crazy pressure put on kids to excel in school to get into the correct university, which can land them a job at one of the companies run by the families that actually run.
Yeah, like how do you become a gangster in Korea, bro?
South Korea. We hear so much about that the more traditional
Sleeping dogs? Oh, sleeping dogs. Ooh. Okay, Is that Hong Kong? Oh, okay, listen. Yeah, the dudes who know.
Traditional and organized crime is overlooked. But of course, the societal pressure and the mere existence of these untouchable families that can pretty much do whatever they want because they run the biggest companies, this might actually play a role in young people wanting to live outside of the law and maybe be the master of their own destiny. Although in a very flawed way that'll most likely just land them in prison. Authorities in South Korea say that some groups are not organized but only temporarily formed by gang members based around committing a certain crime, and the group is dissolved once the job is done. Although this doesn't account for all criminal organizations in South Korea. And most likely, as in Japan, it's just a way to throw off police while they try to find a specific organization to blame for a crime. Now, how some of these guys get caught is pretty funny, because I'm sure that we're all familiar with bowing. It's a traditional greeting and sign of respect in much of East Asia.
Oh, they got too much respect, they don't bow? No, this is crazy to me, bro. Because like the way I view Korea and Japan, they're like that. They're like the safest countries in the world. Not to say anything bad when it happened, but this is crazy.
Apparently, the way the MZ gangs do it is what sometimes causes them to stand out to authorities. Like this group of guys. One guy walks up and bows and accepts what looks like a present, and this looked pretty suspicious to the police, and this actually made a cop approach them only to find out that one guy actually had active warrants. And believe it or not, the information that I learned for this video actually came about as I was looking into Taiwan. I came across this video of a huge elaborate funeral for a gang leader in Taiwan, and I thought, wow, this looks almost like a state parade.
And they got a lot of money. Dang. You know them animes with them gangster, it'd be like the daughter of the gangster father, and they always have a lot of money. Dang, so that's true.
And going down this rabbit hole of organized crime in East Asia, I ended up in South Korea, where I kept coming across strange information, like a guy breaking into the house of a deceased K-pop star, which many suspect was just to steal a phone that contained evidence of a huge sex scandal where K-pop stars and other Korean celebrities were illegally recording sexual acts they received from women. They were drug trafficking, with some of the women involved even being drugged, all in a nightclub
what is going on
called the Burning Sun in the famous Gangnam area of Seoul. And then I came across one of the biggest YouTubers in South Korea being abused and blackmailed by other big YouTubers and women known as cyber wreckers, which are people who will conduct a private investigation into you, gather all of your embarrassing secrets, and expose you unless you pay them. Which is apparently a pretty organized crime in South Korea. And huge gang arrests that led me to other crimes such as a pattern of robberies, assaults, and arrests that centered on a new wave of criminal activity that is taking place not only in South Korea, but in multiple countries in East Asia. And this even led me to the so-called cute rap in China, which is essentially drill music, but with young Asian girls rapping it.
What the
female
fuck is
rapper
going
in this
on?
genre that put an AI-generated King Von.
What the fuck? Damn, V-Roy, you ain't never gonna rest, gang. Over and under, you think King Von is playing dice with? You know what? I'm not gonna do that.
In her music video, she said she had a dream about Von, which made her start rapping in his voice. And I know most of you guys probably can't read this, but I'm pretty sure it says something like, "Little dumbass, better not let me catch you." These are the lyrics from her song. The song is called "Playful Cat Ear Watch" or something like that, but the lyrics are pretty vicious. I mean, these translations might be a little rough, but yeah. Anyway, she's not in South Korea, she's in Chengdu, China. The South Korean police, according to an indictment, listed the name of multiple criminal organizations, and it appears to be associated with the location they operate in, like Kanseo Shikupa and Juan Shikupa. Both of these gangs.
I wish I could understand every language so I could understand the nuances, like sarcasm of whenever niggas are talking. Like, I speak English, but you can imagine listening to like the reports or like the tapes that come out when they reveal stuff from the public. I don't know if that happens with other countries, but it happens in America. We eventually get shit eventually, but. Bro, I would just love to hear the context behind a lot of this stuff, bro. Like,
share the name of train stations in the city of Incheon, as well as Bopyeong Shikupa, most likely named after a district of the same name in the same city. While the other word, Shikupa, is likely another term for the word Gangpai, which means gangster. They also use the word Jopok. And some of these groups are traditional mafia types, wearing suits and extorting people. But in 2024, police in South Korea arrested more than 3,000 gang members in an effort to stop any one of these groups from becoming too powerful. But a year later, it seems like it didn't even make a difference, because in 2025, there was another operation where 97 members were arrested all at once, belonging to 4 different organizations. And like some gang members in Japan, some of these guys flee to the Philippines to avoid arrest, although that doesn't work. As in 2024, 3 members of a 7-man robbery crew from Seoul were expelled from the Philippines to face charges for a robbery they committed where they stole about $100,000 in cash and valuables. Some groups operate fraud rings in Cambodia, like one gang who was stealing the identities of South Koreans and selling them in Cambodia for about $7,000.
How the snitching rule? Like, how the snitching rule back there? Like, it's like you snitch on you die or something like.
US dollars per call with the buyers. Although it's unclear which gang these guys were associated with, but it's not all just schemes and robberies, because of course there is much more serious crime. When I saw this video of a woman being abducted in Gangnam, which is in Seoul, I initially thought that it might have been an isolated incident. Maybe she was kidnapped by a stalker. And of the 3 men later arrested for the crime, one of them admitted that he had been following the woman for 2 to 3 months. But not for the reason I thought, because these were actually hitmen paid by people who wanted this woman dead over a loss of cryptocurrency.
What?
One of the suspects was identified by a witness as ex-military and a former special operative, and that for his part in the kidnapping and murder, he would be paid around 55,000 US dollars.
They killed her?
And while it was easy to find information on these guys since they made international news, due to privacy laws in South Korea, many gang members have their identities hidden and are only referred to in court documents as individual A or B. Like for instance, there was a South Korean YouTuber with about 600,000 subscribers, and he was accused of a multi-million-dollar scam as part of a criminal organization. But I haven't had any luck finding out who this person is. They also tend to blur out the faces of those accused in a crime, like this group of so-called MZ gangsters that stole a little over $1 million US in a scheme that was so organized they were even holding weekly training sessions. And this group was also led by men who were formerly special forces, which sounds a lot like the Los Zetas cartel in Mexico, which was a very dangerous group led by former Mexican commandos. And there was another case involving a YouTuber which was much more severe and definitely sounds like the work of the one gang that threatened to sell someone's girlfriend over an unpaid debt. Although
What?
it could have been another group, but a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers known as Sutak was apparently behind on repayment of some of the money he owed. And unlike the $20 I gave my brother when I was 12, repayment on this money wasn't optional, as 2 guys paid him a visit and lured him to an underground parking garage where they tried to beat him to death, but he survived. But he apparently knew how dangerous these guys was before they showed up, because he informed the police that he felt threatened once he knew they were coming. And this actually led to the attackers being arrested. But of course, if you're watching this channel, then you know the organized crime is nothing new, even in South Korea. It just evolves with each generation. Since the 60s, organized groups have been active in entertainment districts and even associated with politicians. But it hasn't really been that visible in the last 30 years, because in the 90s, when South Korea was becoming more democratic, the government declared a war on crime in 1990 due to several conflicts and murders involving crime families.
Nah, this is crazy, bro. Like this is like, bro. I'm sorry, I got nothing to say. My brain is just getting. Like, bro, it's really, people really be living the same lives. Like, it's crazy.
And this crackdown was so severe that it even led to harsh sentences for pickpockets. And crime has pretty much always been up and down ever since. Like how most of the 90s saw a low homicide rate before it skyrocketed in the 2000s, before dropping off again and rebounding in the mid-2010s when all the millennials were high school to college age. But it must also be taken into account that many murders are attributed to Mojima, which is also referred to as a don't ask why case, which is essentially when someone just starts attacking or killing random people out of frustration, either with society or their personal life, which is actually a problem in South Korea. But even though it has a crime rate slightly higher than Japan, it's still one of the safest countries in Asia. But how can a country so safe, rich, and developed have the biggest mental health crisis in Asia? Japan gets a lot of backlash for
because the work. It's like this. They have like a culture of like work culture where they disrespect you and like your boss, and you have seniority of the people, and they're overwork you till you die, bro. Like there's I was watching another video about, they talking about the Japan work culture, how some salary men are just literally would pass out on the side of the road after being overworked, bro, and people die from exhaustion a lot. Boy, what?
Its toxic work culture and the cost of its high standard of living. But in South Korea, it's that plus a lot more. I mean, they pretty much perfected a culture of unreal standards, whether it's beauty, with reports of 1 in 5 South Korean women having undergone some type of plastic surgery, and 46% of female college students having done the same thing. You're like 18 when you go into college. I wasn't even sure what my favorite pair of shoes was when I was 18. There are even ghost doctors, unqualified medical staff operating illegal factory-like clinics just to meet the plastic surgery needs of the public. And obviously this has gone wrong many times. And as far as the children, honestly, as a kid, it was confusing enough thinking about what I was going to do with my life. And that's in America, where nobody even cares. You're more likely to be pressured by American society to be an idiot than you are to be successful. And maybe the prospect of being a Korean salaryman isn't that appealing to some young men. Unlike in Japan, however, the people in their 20s and 30s in South Korea have far less loyalty to a company and would happily find another job if it came with a pay raise. Because seniority pretty much runs everything in South Korea, so the younger people are more or less treated as disposable. This was a very brief rundown with
This
some
is
very rough
crazy.
translations, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. And if you speak Korean, let me know how my pronunciations were.
Shout out to Korea, bro. This is crazy, bro. So Korean comics So Korean comics are true? AI generate King Von Chinese is cute, bro. Gang activity and bullying are the most popular manhwa Korean mangas. Yo, I'm not surprised. This is crazy. Hey, show some some love. This is crazy. Terrifying new gang in Japan. Okay, I'm probably gonna watch that later, bro.